Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Soul Intent podcast, a show that's for us, by us. I'm Joelah Noble, and this is my absolutely amazingly talented and wonderful co-host.
Oh, thanks.
Mell.
Coco Mell.
Hey. So join us, guys, as we talk about a few important topics that we've come across this week, along with our fave segment, Cuss-A-Crep. And loads of other stuff that we feel is relevant to you guys, also including our shout out segment as well, where we shout out people that are doing bits in the community and inspiring us.
So I feel like first up, obviously this week has been a massive, I suppose, loss as well as kind of trauma for us in the Black community with the loss of George Floyd, and just I suppose the whole, I don't know, just the whole senseless violence around it and the general police brutality that's now kind of I suppose receiving backlash off of the back of it. I don't even know, like, what are your thoughts and feelings when you first when the news first broke kind of publicly? How are you feeling?
Well, if anyone has been living under a rock, and if you don't know what we're talking about, George Floyd is a 46-year-old African-American man who was murdered by a white police officer. There is video evidence. They were called to the scene following a non-violent crime, apparently. It's still not really clear exactly what it was. Some people are saying that he forged a check, and so the popo were called. Someone else is saying that it was like a fake $10 bill or something like that. Whatever it is, it's a non-violent crime. And we see video evidence of this officer kneeing him in his neck, where George is saying, I can't breathe. He's calling out for his mum. It's really quite a traumatic video to see.
It's definitely distressing.
Yes, certainly distressing. Not something I want to be watching, but I do think it's something that we all should see at least once, because it's important and it's what happens. It's what happens in this world.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it was, obviously every time a Black life is lost, it hits home, like it hits true to home. Do you know what I mean? Like having siblings, male siblings, having uncles and having relatives, who are male, I'm always a bit like angst in general anyway. So for me, I definitely feel like it heightened that anxiety even further. I feel like we're going through a worldwide pandemic. Like if that wasn't bad enough, we've now got to worry about not only Corona killing us, but also the police killing us, which is just mind blowing. Like people who are there to protect and serve the public and the community are the same ones who are said like using their position in society, misusing it, should I say, for their own warped kind of gain. So I think for me, obviously seeing all the tweets and things on Instagram and the not even mean, but just general kind of social media buzz around it, I think it kind of made me realize that people just don't care enough. People who it doesn't affect don't care enough. And for me, like, I'm offended by that. Like, I find I'm offended as a Black woman that Black lives don't matter. So all this, all lives matter. All lives do matter until the Black lives are accounted for appropriately. Then you can't say all, because we're in that spectrum, that bracket we're meant to also be included in, allegedly, where our lives seemingly don't matter. So yeah, I just found that it was very triggering for me, and I just feel upset. I don't really feel there's even enough grammar to really articulate how we really feel. Like there's no words that can really put a real explanation on our feelings and our thoughts around it. I just think, I don't even know. Obviously we're all saying we're tired. It's so tiresome. It is really tiresome. And I just feel like to gear yourself up to have these conversation is tiring. But as a Black individual, I do take it as my role and responsibility to have these conversations with people who are non-minority or non-Black or whatever you want to say. I do feel like it's my right and my role for my brethren to say our lives matter for X, Y, and Z. And I'm kind of glad we have this podcast that we can actually express it in what I hope will come across as, I suppose, politically correct way of saying things, and just being kind of like mindful and thoughtful of everyone, but just making sure that we're we're understood as black people. We're understood, we're respected, and, you know, our lives, are accounted for.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of white people feel that this is like a hate campaign towards white people as a whole. And in all honesty, that is part of the problem. That you would focus on how it affects you and how you feel like you're being targeted rather than the actual problem at hand, which is very obvious. You know, you can try and ignore it and deny it as much as you want because it doesn't actually affect you, but it's a very obvious problem. We've seen other accounts of white people who have done violent crimes, school shooters,
heinous crimes.
Yeah, school shooters, for instance, that, you know, I'm not saying anyone should get executed on the side of the sidewalk, but I see them treating these people with a lot more respect than this black man who seemingly hasn't done anything. I do think it's important to speak about these things and for the white community to stand up. Our white allies, we've spoken quite a lot about white allies.
I do air quotes. So sorry.
Yeah, no, there are. I've seen a couple people who have, you know, put things online and spoken about this.
I think I saw something. I think one of my friends shared on the gram yesterday, I think it was, and it was so powerful. It was a white lecturer in America, was speaking to a room of all white students, I suppose, or white participants, and she just said, she's like, anyone who would openly want to be treated like black people are treated, please stand up. Silence. Everyone stayed seated. She said it again, and then she said, you're the problem. The fact that you're sitting down means that you have full knowledge and understanding of the way black people are treated, but yet you stay seated because you don't want that for you, but you don't mind it for them. And that to me is massive. Like, silence is just as, like, I think just as bad a worse action as the physicality. Do you know what I mean? Like, the knee symbolizes, well, when Colin Kaepernick did it, it was disrespect. It was all these things. But yet when a white officer's on a black man's neck, it's almost like, oh, well, he was restraining him. Yeah, but he was weaponless on the floor and he was articulating that he couldn't breathe. And I just think, how many more black lives need to be lost until these police officers are held accountable? I think I saw like a statistic that was like 100 black deaths, only one police officer had been convicted of their murder. Out of 100 people dying, black people dying, one was convicted. It doesn't make any sense.
I do know that they're protected by this union as well. Yeah. It's got links to politics as well. The fact is that the country was built off of slavery, first of all. Like, let's make that clear. So it's crazy for us to think anyway that they would have an ounce of decency in this particular situation. The rebel within me is really tired of asking for respect, and more so, like, I'm on some less demand respect type situation. I wonder, because there are so many racist people in this world. There's racist people in America. We live in England. There are racist people here as well, right? And they say things like, go back to your country. Do you know what? I feel like, we should go back to our country. And if we did, I mean, I was born in England, but this ain't where I'm from. So if I really did go back to where you're saying I should go back, how would you survive? How would that impact your economy?
But moving forward, like, what needs to be done? Like, from your opinion, what needs to be done? Whether us as black individuals, what we need to do moving forward, in adjacency to maybe what our non-minority counterparts also need to do?
I mean, awareness is one thing. So obviously we need to continue spreading awareness. It feels like every time something like this happens, we were in an uproar, and then it's not that we forget about it, but we can't, you know, just be upset every day of our lives. Like, this has really taken a toll on my emotional well-being, you know? So I don't want to live like that. I'm trying to be positive out here. And someone else will forget about it in a sense. Well, you won't see it as much on social media. I don't forget about it. I know you don't forget about it, but you know, we're not going to be posting it every single day. And then someone else dies. And then it's the same thing over and over again. I feel like the police need to be policed. These people who are racist, and like this particular guy, right, that killed George Floyd, he's had previous incidents of using too much force. He's been involved in a few incidents where people of color have died, and he hasn't seen any consequences or repercussions from that. So they definitely, like, why they're not in jail, under the jail right now, is beyond. So they're protected, and that breaks my heart.
I think more conversation needs to be had. Like, I think, you know, if said, you know, our white friends or even white family members, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, the members of our family who are integrated into our, you know, culture and our community, educate them, because they're raising the next generation of us. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're raising the next Trayvon Martin, they're raising, do you know what I mean, like, you know, the youth coming up. So if their knowledge and if their sense isn't 100, then they're not kind of equipped, I suppose, equipped in the next generation with the skills that they should have. So I think alongside that, you know, I don't know, I suppose, like, to be harsh to be kind, but it's almost like, for me personally, like, one of my, I suppose, what do you call it, one of my kind of effects moving forward that I'm going to try and kind of adhere to is cancelling people out. Sounds really harsh, but I haven't got time. Like, unless you're really taking a stand and you're really backing it, then I can't fuck with you. Simple as that. I just can't. Because if I'm aligning with you, then I might as well align with the police officer who knelt on George Floyd's neck. Like, I can't be in cahoots with you. So whether you're a peer or whether you're a friend, unless I can see something actually being done, and I'm not saying protest, I'm not saying do all these things, but what I'm saying is if it comes to, like, a shoot, for example, with me being a stylist and your producer, don't cast an all-white cast. I don't want to see it. And if that's what you want to do, then don't bring me on board, because I'm not going to be behind it. I'm not going to back it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So those sort of things like that in a working sensibility can be done. Like, I'm not saying go out and do anything crazy, but they're the small changes that in effect can have a really kind of, I suppose, hardening effect on our industries and in our careers, if the people at the helm of it can help facilitate it. This platform that we have now with Soul Intent Podcast, like, I hope that it's recognized as a forum, as a safe space that people can kind of come and listen to, and I suppose relate when we're speaking about our experiences and the dialogue that we're having, but also if they're a non-minority, that they can be educated and hopefully gain an understanding of why we are the way we are. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've been conditioned this way. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have to be resilient. We have to persevere. We have to have a different kind of strength within us, because if we don't, we're going to crumble. Every time we hear about death, we're going to crumble. So we have to be very much like, pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and we move again. And we keep on moving and trying to make a change. But flipping out, it's getting a bit much. How do you feel with everything going on about brands? Because I haven't really seen any brands saying much. They might put a hashtag out, they might put a, you know, like one of the illustrations of George Floyd, but aside from that, I'm not seeing anything really verbalized in a way that I can kind of read it as they're being allies for us. Like, I feel like, because you take our culture, do you know what I mean? You're using black models on your site. Do you know what I mean? Like, all this stuff is being created, you know, I suppose aesthetically, but now when it comes to the crunch, you're mute on it. So, like, what are your thoughts and your feelings towards those brands who aren't speaking up for us?
So the same way we want the white people that we work with to have conversations and, you know, put this thing up or whatever, we want the brands to do the same thing, don't we?
Yeah.
So it's quite disgusting that a lot of brands that we work with, we get the Fashion Novas, the Pretty Little Things, the brands that really profit off of blackness and black culture that haven't really said anything. I did see this influencer, I think her name's Jackie Aina, I don't know how to pronounce it.
She called them out.
They need to do better. All right, and in other news, but still pertaining to this racial drama that we have to deal with at the moment, the white female terrorist known wholly as Karen has striked again.
Or AKA Central Park Karen. She also holds that title as well.
So, yeah, no, because there's different, you've got to be able to tell which Karen's which, you know?
Right.
So this one is Central Park Karen. She was in the wildlife area? Yeah. That's like reserved for like bird watching and all that other nature stuff, where she had her dog off of a leash. A black man asked her to put her dog on the leash. It even says like on the signs that the dogs need to be on their lead. And I guess she didn't like it. And so she ended up calling the police. And
she did a "can I speak to your manager?" like the typical Karens do, but in the sense of calling the police when simply asked, not aggressively abused, simply asked, "Ma'am, would you mind putting your dog on the leash?" That's it. And it just went completely left. It went so far left that all you really got from the visuals and the audio of it was African American. She was using it like it was some sort of like trigger word for the police to be like, okay, shit, it's a code 10. Like, we've got to go quick. Like, it couldn't just be a man in a park. His race had to play the fundamental kind of, I suppose, hub of her crying for help. Mm-hmm. And that to me is crazy. She didn't care who he was, whose son he was, whose dad he was. That wasn't the her issue. Her issue was, who the hell is this man, this black man, telling me what to do about my dog? And the wildest thing was, you're there choking your dog out anyway, sis. So you're worried about your dog being on it, like not being on a leash. The dog can even breathe. So do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. You're ramping and raving about an animal that you allegedly care about, but yet you're here. Your dog is pining out. Karen, let me go, sis. And you're just there. And then it took her to get sacked and for the dog to be removed out of her custody, for her to issue an apology to Christian Cooper, the black man, you know, who had to face this abuse. Oh, I'm sorry, whatever. He seemingly took her apology as sincere, which I think is mind-blowing. He's definitely a bigger person than me. So I just think it's crazy. Then off the back of that, 2 days later, what you got? You got Jim, that dude in the gym. I don't even know. I was even like, I think the male equivalent of Karen is actually Barry.
Is it Barry?
I think it's, so in this case, Jim Barry. But there was a couple of names. It was either Richard, Ian, Barry, like a Becky equivalent to a Becky is a Chad. I don't know, it was just a lot of things. But basically, I think it's Jim Barry is the guy's, you know, I suppose, title. But he, again, felt privileged enough to address 3 African-American men minding their business in a private gym at that. And you're telling them, well, what office are you in? What floor? Mind your damn business, sir, and just work out. That's what you have to do, is work out.
Why do you feel that you have the right to ask people their personal information like that? Like,
it's bold. It's bold. But that's because of that white privilege. That's why he thinks he can do that without any repercussion for his actions. But unfortunately, it backfired because he's now been kicked out of that said building.
Good. What upsets me about these people is that they're doing that and they're calling the police. Like, Karen called the police. Really, I could only assume in hope that the popo was going to come and do what they did, if not something similar, to George Floyd, to this other man. For her to say, African-American man, the subtext in that is that he's dangerous and scary
and aggressive.
So yeah, when you call the police on a black man that hasn't done anything, that's an act of terror.
Yeah.
Word to my girl Amanda Sills. Yeah, mm-hmm. That's an act of terror.
Yeah.
So I could only assume that you would want some badness to happen to this man as well. This is a heavy episode. I will say that.
But it needs to be done.
I agree.
For sure.
So Harry Pinero was on ADOT's BBC Sounds podcast, and he put out a clip, and it's basically him defending his relationship with singer, amazing singer, by the way. I love the content that she puts out, Mira May. I guess a lot of people had an issue that she's a white woman and that he's a black man and that they're dating and they just had a baby together. Congratulations to them. How do you feel about that, Coco?
Well, as someone who has like a multiracial family, like all my niece and nephews and my cousins, they're all mixed. They're all whether, you know, black Polish, black Italian. So for me, I'm just like, why are you so pressed? I think it's how he put it in that clip. It's like, you obviously aren't having any joy in your own life that you have to try and like, you know, disrupt and upset someone else, try and kind of like make, I suppose, misery loves company kind of, you know, be a fact. But I just think there's nothing wrong with any kind of love. Do you mean whether it's black love, white love, interracial love, whatever? It doesn't matter. So I just think, and as you said, they're both African. Do you mean she's Algerian and he's, you know, from Sierra Leone? So if we want to be geographical about it, technically there really shouldn't be an issue. Kanye West and Kim Kardashian are fine as an interracial couple. You love to see that. You buy the Yeezys and do you mean you buy the Skims, but you won't let, do you mean two people in love just live their best life?
Yeah.
I think it's mind blowing to me. I can't understand it. I just don't get it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm really rooting for them. I think Mira May is super cultured. He actually does say that, you know, she cooks, what do you say, curry goat or curry mutton?
Yeah, I think A-Dot said about Joelah, and he's like,
Joelah.
yeah, Joelah.
You know, she reps Algeria as well. Like, I feel that she isn't someone who, you know, is just in love with our men and she disregards everything else. I feel that is an issue. There are a lot of white women in relationships and having babies with black men, but they don't necessarily care for the culture or the black man side of the family. And that is an issue for me. It's a bit of a warning sign for me if you are a white woman and you have relations with a black man, but you don't speak to any other black people. There's a whole history of black men and women being overly sexualized. Literally, I was having this conversation the other day about the Joker film. I don't know if you've seen it.
Well, the latest one, or
the latest one. And I haven't actually heard or read anyone really talk about this, but the representation of black women in that film is either that they're really angry or sexualized.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot with black men as well throughout history. It's kind of been that way, right? So, you know, everyone says that black guys have the biggest penises, but like you said, love is love. And so if you're in love, then I'm not against that. I want the best for you, babes.
That's what I'm saying. And they're not hurting anyone by being in love. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, no one's losing their life. No one's, do you know what I mean? No one's getting punished for it. So I don't really understand it. And I just think just leave them the hell alone. Just mind your damn business and worry about your own love life or lack thereof. More importantly. Right, people. So up next is our favourite segment, Cuss-A-Crep, aka, as Joelah has just worked out, CAC. Basically a segment where we kind of, I suppose, share our dislike, disdain, distaste for a trainer of the week. And I suppose first up is my ones, which you can probably, I don't know if you can't see, but if you're listening, my ones are the Nike Adapt Auto Max motherboard, and boy are they a mother, because I didn't even know. They're similar to like the mags, the Back to the Future mags, if you guys remember it from a couple of years. It's got that kind of silhouette to it, but it's also got almost like a 270-esque air bubble at the back. I don't know, it's just doing a lot. But what I'm really cussing is not only the visuals, but also the price tag. For 340 English pounds, this seems a bit much. And granted, it's obviously got the highest technology that Nike have ever probably created, you know, within it, which I get. But bloody hell, like, who's wearing that? It, like, what? I don't know, the front isn't even bad. I don't know what's bad about it. I think it's the back bit. It's like a Tesla on your foot. Like, if I had to give a comparison, it looks like a straight up car on your feet. I don't know. I love the colour though. Like, I'm here for the orange and the grey. Like, I love the colourway, but I just think, yeah, I'm just not here for the heftiness. I imagine it's really heavy. I don't know. Am I being extra, or do you rate them? Would you wear them?
I'm not offended by them.
Right, but
I'm not crazy about the placement of that air bubble, first of all. Like, that type of air bubble as well. I don't, if it was more like the 270 and it was just clear, I think I'd appreciate it a bit more. These are self-lacing, aren't they? So I know that adds to like the hype and probably adds to the price tag as well. I'm not offended. I'm not disgusted by them. I would like to try them on, see how they feel on the feet. If they're light, then you might get a thumbs up from me.
I think you might get a little run as well out of it.
Yeah, a couple jumps. I just feel like you could jump really high with these. I don't know. Maybe I'm gassed, but I kind of like them, Coco.
Oh, really? So, okay. So a Cuss-A-Crep first, a potential conversion.
So for my CAC entry today, I absolutely need to call out Vans and their collaboration with the National Geographic. Okay, it's weird anyway that they've done this collab. No one would ever see it coming. But I feel like with a collab like this, there's so much potential, right? Because you're dealing with animals, and obviously we're not going to put like real fur and stuff, because that would be wild. But you could put like the faux fur. There's so many things I think that you really could have done to pay homage to the animal kingdom. And I just feel like this is so unimaginative. So yeah, they've released, it's 5 that they've released. The first 2 are the ones that I'm really, really offended by. I know one has like glaciers on it. Another one's got like a fish, like a school of fish or something. And then we've got the
Twilight one at the end. What is that? That wolf, that Jacob on a Vans.
Yeah. I mean, the second one is just different editions of the magazine on the trainer. It's just so unimaginative. It's you guys really could have done more with that, and I'm so disappointed with what you haven't done. And I've put in my notes here, I feel like all the little birdies and elephants should feel embarrassed because they weren't represented in the best way through this collaboration. It's a mess. I don't want to see that anymore. Take it off, please. I don't even want to see that.
But yeah, I know. I think when you compare it to like even the Ben and Jerry's dunks were far sight better than that. Like, okay, the cow is obviously like part of their logo, and they even championed it better with the mohair than Vans did. Yeah, like they could have got more playful with it.
Yeah, even if you talk about the Nike Animal Pack. Come on.
Yeah, the safari.
Come on.
They should have just done a collaboration with David Attenborough. Like they do National Geographic, just go one step further. Would have probably dropped more heat.
He probably would have had better ideas, to be fair. Come on, Vans.
Do better, Vans.
Yeah, man.
Right, next up, I suppose last segment of this episode is a shout out of the week. Who have you got for the people, Dem?
Oh, I am shouting out the very, very lovely and inspirational Charlotte Mell. She's the MD of the Fitting Room Marketing and PR agency. The reason she even got into it in the first place was to create an inclusive platform for people of color, especially women. She is a woman of color herself. She has really supported me, her and her company. They've supported me for a really long time in my career, like booking me to present and host things, and they continue to do so. At the moment, she is doing like a 3-day virtual classroom workshop vibe where she's bringing on other women who are doing amazing things in their industries. Like I tuned into one yesterday, and it was like different beauty industries and how to like build that brand and put it out kind of thing. So informative, so inspirational. So I really, really rate what she's doing. And I know next month she's putting out a campaign with Rebel Empire, and she's featuring Black ballerinas. So she really wants to tell our stories in a positive light. So I really rate her for that. And so I just like to shout out what she's doing and what she stands for, because it's helping a lot of people, including me. Her handle is TFR Charlotte, and the agency is TFR Edit. So follow and get involved.
Get involved. My shout out of the week is Mr. Sean King. Obviously, I don't know him personally, but just seeing all his, advocacy work that he's doing at the moment over in the States is just, it's inspiring and it's commendable and it's honourable. So I just thought, definitely shout him out, because I feel like those who aren't privy, he is a civil rights activist who uses his social media platform to, I suppose, bring to light unjust cases, against kind of the black communities mostly. And I feel like he's managed to do that so well, obviously with the amount of death that's happened in America. He's really taken a stand for us as black people, also the families of, the victims affected. And he's actively getting us signed petitions and repost things and, get more conversations happening, which I just feel like is super, super necessary right now. So he's my shout out of the week.
Shout out Sean King. What's his handle?
I actually just think it's just Sean King.
I think it is as well. Right, so I think that's it for the episode today. Coco, thank you for being an amazing host as well and engaging in these tough conversations with me. I do think
the same.
Yeah, I do think it's needed. And thank you to everyone who's been listening. This podcast is for us, by us, and I think we've exhibited that over the past 3 episodes. So share, comment, all that other stuff, whatever it is that people do with podcasts, do that, please.
Do that and do more, please, as well, if you don't mind. But I suppose, follow us on Spotify, Soul Intent Podcast, same with Instagram as well. And my handle is @Coco, COCO_Mell, MELL, and Joelah. My turn, actually, I keep pointing that way. This lovely human being over here.
On my one, I'm this way, but it doesn't matter.
You are, right? Yeah. So, Joelah Noble, JOELAH, Noble, NOBLE.
Yeah. All right, follow us up, man. Ciao.
In it, man. And anything you want to speak about or ask us about moving forward, so decide into our DMs on Soul Intent Podcast or our own personal DMs, and we'll definitely try and get back to you and get it on the show next week.
Lovely. Have a good day. Have a good week.
Have a good week.
Peace.